Ōtautahi Christchurch. For decades, we've been known to the world as the Garden City. And a garden city is associated with gardens. But what does it mean to be a garden city 2 decades into the 21st century? And is this still how we want to define ourselves and our city?
As a city evolves and grows, it's really important that the story of that city evolves and grows with it. Christchurch is a city on the cusp of an amazing period in its history. It's an incredible time to be here as a resident, as a visitor. It's a vibrant, buzzing city. So it's time for us to tell a new story about what makes Ōtautahi Christchurch special. A city's story is defined by its people. So we wanted to know what our residents think of Ōtautahi Christchurch. So we asked. And we asked a lot of you. Here's what we heard. We love this place.
We're sport for choice here in Christchurch. There are so many different eateries, small wee nooks that you can explore.
I love the energy, I love the size.
I love the hills and being able to walk around all of our beautiful parks.
You could be in the mountains, you could surf, you could rock climb, you can mountain bike.
My boyfriend and his friends, they have skied in the morning and then gone climbing in the afternoon and then gone for a surf in the evening. And then we've talked about going to the hot pools in New Brighton after, just to end it on a good note.
I think Christchurch is an amazing adventure playground.
You've got the great outdoors, you've got the great indoors as well, whether it's sports or the arts or restaurants. And we've got a happy balance of that.
You told us Christchurch is the best place in New Zealand to be a Kiwi. Being a garden city is part of who we are, people living in balance with nature. It's about the harmony between the two. So how do people in Ōtautahi find balance? By making space and time for play. All kinds of play in all kinds of places.
Going to Little Andromeda and seeing a really cool local show, or going and seeing the CSO play at the Town Hall, or spending some time at the art gallery.
I'd say Canterbury has a jewel in it, and the jewel is the Banks Peninsula. There's these amazing expanses of land that's very, very different from other parts of New Zealand, and that's my playground.
I like exploring markets, getting to the beach.
Sometimes I just like to sit and be. You only have to take a few steps, especially in the CBD. You can go from quiet to active and then back to quiet again.
You can access anything that you want. You can find the people that you want to do it with.
We're really excited about evolving the Garden City into Christchurch being a city in balance where we make space and time to play. So of course, this new story needed a new look.
For this project, we've pulled together a team of 3 local creatives. Ourselves, McCarthy, we're a brand development studio. Ariki Creative, who are a kaupapa Māori creative studio. And finally, Tahu Robinson, who's a local creative from Haput, Ngātua Huriri.
So we consider this, I guess, within the space of a bicultural design. So thinking of how do we honour both cultures from a Māori perspective as well as a European perspective.
What you'll see through it is it's actually created from the leading characters of the name Ōtautahi in Christchurch. So we see a O and a C kind of come together in a way of balance with the macron on top.
We were inspired by the traditional Toi Māori marks of traditional carving. That design is called Hai Hai, where it talks about the parallel grooves that are carved through the wood, but we thought of it as the water that carves through the city, the Ōtākoro River. It also talks about how we have a connection to mahi ngakai, food gathering, traditional food gathering around the area, and that's why I guess our tupuna that didn't originally live here had that as a part of why they occupied the area.
Having this opportunity to work on something as historical as this mark, it's massive.
I think this brand gives us an identity we haven't necessarily had before. It summarises so much of the history and starts to give us something that we can own and just focus on what we are and the most positive core piece of who we are.
We had a lot of history around people's perceptions of it being a conservative place, and I feel like this is an opportunity to look at what a future looks like where we're a bit more playful and fun, a bit more balance within our environment, and as well as having different perspectives. I think incorporating an Indigenous viewpoint. My children and my whānau can feel part of the fabric of the city now, as being part of the brand, so I think that's a major asset to the city now.
Within the brand, we wanted the colour palette to not just live within the traditional red and black that's so often associated with Christchurch. So our colour palette needed to obviously reference red, but it needed to extend outside of that. And even in the red, what we've landed on isn't necessarily the traditional hard red we've seen before. And the wider colour palette extends on other ideas of what we find within our city. We look to nature, hues of green from Harakeke. We've got some beautiful pink hues that we find in our sunrises to the east, and also some deep blues from the surrounding harbour. So what we are left with is a colour palette that speaks of the community, speaks of all of the people that make up the city.
What the new Christchurch is looking at is embracing everybody and saying, you have a place to stand, you're welcome here.
I'm incredibly proud to call Otatahi my home. And for me, the thing I love about the story is just how true it feels to me as someone who chose to make this the place where I live. It really does feel like the city where you can have a life in balance. You can make space and time for play. You can truly have it all.